The next topic I'm going to talk about is virtual environments. So, a virtual environment is an isolated runtime environment that allows Python users to install different dependencies. So, this is very useful to say if you have two tasks that you want to do, and task A has a set of dependencies and task B has a set of dependencies, but those dependencies conflict with each other, okay? And so instead of having to install your dependencies to do task A and then uninstall them and install the dependencies for task B and then do task B, instead of having to do that install, uninstall, install, uninstall, you can set up virtual environments. So a virtual environment, basically what you do is you start off with your Python distribution, so 3.7, 3.8, 2.7, whatever it is, and you can spawn or create these independent virtual environments. They sit on your hard drive in its own directory. It doesn't duplicate Python code itself. It just gives you a container to install independent dependencies. So you always will be launching, say, the same Python distributions, but it will look to different dependency sets depending on which virtual environment you want. Okay, that is useful, like I said, for the cases where you have two different tasks that have two different dependencies. Trying to link back to maybe the automated tests that were brought up, that the question was on in the last presentation. You want to run tests on different environments. You could also do that with virtual environments. But I will generally add, I'd let GitHub run all the tests. I like to run one set of tests on my local machine, and then I'll let GitHub do the gambit of tests. And then if one of those fails, I'll try and run that one locally. Therefore, I'm just not wasting money on running my own machine. Okay, so there are several packages out there that allow you to create virtual environments. In Python 3, VNev is the default one. It is built into Python 3, and so you don't have to install a third party. It just exists. If I remember correctly, VNV was actually spawned from virtualenv. Don't take my word for that, but I think that's what happened. And so virtualenv is a third-party package. It has very similar mechanicals to VNV, and it works for both Python 2 and 3. You have PyEnev, but this is mainly for switching between Python versions. You have PyEnev virtualenv, which then allows you to switch between Python versions and virtual environments. And then another one that's really common is Conda. So Conda is both a package management and an environment management system. So think of Conda as kind of like pip and VNV combined into one. Now, Conda is still independent from pip and VNV. The Conda's package management is completely different than isolated from the typical Python package index, which is what pip searches to download its packages. Okay, so for this tutorial, since most of the same principles apply throughout, I'm just going to stick with VNV. Okay, like I said, because many of these principles will apply, and so I will go over creating and configuring virtual environments, how to update your Python path for a virtual environment, and how to integrate virtual environments with your Jupyter notebooks. These last two I actually use quite a lot. They're very handy for development work. You can see the link here is a link to kind of, it's a markdown file that I will follow as I do this demonstration. Okay. All righty. So, okay, so we shouldn't have any sizing problems here because I've already sized everything ahead of time. Okay, so I'm going to start with creating a virtual environment. As you've already seen me do in the previous demonstration, I have these hack repos, and I've already created this VNVS directory. This is something I like to do to house all of the virtual environments that I create. So the virtual environment you create, the base Python that is used for that virtual environment is defined by which Python distribution you use to create it. So in this case, so on my computer, if I do Python version, you'll see this one is 2.7, but VNV only works with Python 3. So I want to do Python 3 version. Okay, so in this case, it would be Python 3.8, okay? And if I look at Python 3 minus M pip list, you can see I only have pip and setup tools installed in this Python distribution as third-party packages. Now, this command, Python 3 minus M pip, is the long form of just writing pip, okay? But if you have multiple environments, you can often lose track of what pip is pointing to. So if you do Python 3 minus pip, you will always use the version of pip associated with that Python, okay? So next, what I want to do is I want to create a virtual environment that I'm going to name Py38 hack. So what I'm going to do, so as of right now, I believe I'm sitting on my desktop. So I want to move into, I'm sitting in my local. So I want to move into my desktop, and I want to go to the VNVS. I want to go into the Hack Week folder and the VNVS folder. Okay, so now in here I have nothing stored in here. So I'm going to create a folder for my virtual environment. So you make directory Py38 hack. I'll make this a little bigger. I think that might help. All right, maybe is that a little better? All right, so I'm going to make this directory, and we'll see now we have Py38 hack. Okay, so this is the directory in which I will place the virtual environment. So it's a one-line command to create the virtual environment, Python 3, make sure we start with the right one, minus M, VNV, Py38 hack, okay? So once I create that, you can see that folder is now automatically populated. Okay. But you'll notice that at this point, the virtual environment has not been activated yet. To activate the virtual environment, you have to run this activate script. So to do that, you do source Py38 bin activate. So now I'm running that activate script, and you'll see once I run that, I now get this, move this up a little, this Py38 at the beginning. So that's telling me that the Py38 virtual environment is now activated. Okay. This is the command that you do if you're on a Linux or a Mac setup. If you're on a Windows setup, it's a little different. It's in scripts/activate instead. Okay. To deactivate the virtual environment, all you have to do is deactivate, and that will close out the virtual environment. Okay. All right. So let's reactivate this. So source Py38 hack bin activate. So now it is activated. So what's nice about this now is the Python and pip commands are now associated with your virtual environment. So if you do Python version, you'll see now it's Python 38. okay, because that is associated with this in virtual environment. So now you know pip, I think it's no, pip, is it pip version? Okay, so you can see now this pip is also pointing to the pip in my virtual environment. Okay, and you install dependencies into your virtual environment just as you would do in any normal one. So in this case, let's install NumPy. So pip install NumPy. So now I'm installing NumPy. Okay, this is warning me that pip is just out of date. So now if I do pip list, I should see NumPy in there. Okay. Okay, so that's how you set up virtual environments. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about modifying your Python path. So there are several ways to do this. The one that I have historically done is actually if you open up the activate script, this controls how the Python environment is set up. So you can actually hard code your Python path into this activate script. And it's much like updating your bash RC. But a more elegant way that I've recently discovered is actually creating a .path file inside your site packages. Now, why would I want to update my Python path? Well, I do it quite commonly because I do a lot of development for Plasma.Py, and I want to make changes to Plasma.Py, and I immediately want to say use them in the Jupyter notebook. And I don't want to go through the process of having to reinstall Plasma.Py in order for it to show up in my Jupyter notebook. So if I just add the location of my Plasma.Py local repo, then any changes I make there will automatically be available in my Jupyter notebook. So I want to add that to my Python environment. So what I'm going to do here is I'm still sitting just outside the virtual environment folder directory. So I'm going to navigate into that. So I'm going to go change. I want to go to Python 38. Okay, my library, Python 3.8, site packages. So now I'm in here, and this is the directory that Python always stores any third-party installed packages. So what
Erik,
yeah,
we have a hand here.
Yes.
Erik, so there's the -e option for pip install, which is to install a.
But I don't like doing that. That is true. I don't like doing that because
I was going to ask why not?
Because specifically for Plasma.Py, I don't like doing that because we use setup tools SCM, so it generates version control numbers based on your Git. And if you do a -e install, it actually puts egg info into that development directory, which then confuses setup tools SCM.
Okay.
Because it will always think that it's a backdated version opposed to the what version it actually is.
Okay.
That's why I like doing that. I do get flack for it, but you know, to each their own, right? Everyone has their own kind of way of doing this.
Yep.
As Dominic and I have gone back and forth quite a bit about this.
Yep.
I've never had luck with it, and it drives me nuts, so I do it this way. Okay, so now I'm in site packages. So I'm going to create a packet, a file called plasmapy.path. So I'm going to do vi plasmapy.path. Okay, so it opens up the VI editor. Now, like I said, I already have a local copy of my Plasma.Py in here. So I'm just going to add into this file the absolute path to my repo. So it'll be user Erik Everson documents PSF. I nest things too much, so I apologize. / Plasma Pi. So this is the location for my local repo. Okay, so I hit exit to get out of the interpreter mode, colon, write, quit. Okay, so now if I look at that directory again, I have this Plasma Pi path. Okay, so if I launch Python, I do import sys, okay, and I do a sys.path. So sys.path is a list of all the paths Python will search when looking for packages. So if I do that, you'll see right here at the end, sorry, Erik, where are you? Okay, it's gonna make me look like an idiot, isn't it?
You made some spelling mistakes.
Did I? I'm not surprised. Okay, bi plasmapi.path. Users, that's probably it. Erik, Everson, documents, user.
So the
You have some correction inside the chat.
Yep. I think I got that one now. Okay, so let's update this again. Relaunch, import sys.path, and there we go. There's now the search path for my local distribution of Plasma Pi. So now I can directly, actually, before I do that, I cannot import Plasma Pi right now because I have not installed its dependencies. So I'm gonna go over to the Plasma Pi repository real quick. Of course. CD. All right, so now I'm in the repository, my local repository for Plasma Pi, and then Plasma Pi stores all of its dependencies in this requirements text file. So I can now install all those dependencies by doing pip install -r requirements.txt, and that will install all the defined dependencies we have for Plasma Pi. So we have a lot of dependencies, so this is going to take a second.
In the meantime,
Yes,
can you
but-
answer?
Yeah, any questions? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, Madhu asked a question. Is it possible to do these steps through Pycharm instead of terminal?
This is one I don't know. I don't think you can do it through Pycharm. I'll take that back. Yes, you can do it through Pycharm. So while this is installed, let's see if I can do it easily. Here you go. So if you go up to Pycharm, you go preferences. Okay, and you go to your project and you go to your Python interpreter. From here, you can see it lists the Python interpreters that are available. And so these are virtual environments that I've created in the past that I use quite common. And so if you click add, you can create a new virtual environment. You can do one using Conda. I think this is the one that's using VNF. And so this is how you can create that. And then you can, there's a bunch of settings you can set so that you can create virtual environments through Pycharm. the .path file, I don't think you can. I'm almost confident you can, but I've also never tried to do that. Okay, but then once you have an environment open here, so in this case, this is just my Python 3.7. These are all the packages in it. You can actually add, you can search and add updates to that list through here as well. Okay. I answer the question?
Well, I think yes. And also do not forget that you are plus 1 minute. So
Okay, I'll run through this last part quick then. So the
Okay.
next part is to do Jupyter notebooks. So in this case, you want to pip install Jupyter, which I believe we already have installed or not. So you also want to install, I like using Jupyter Lab, that's another one. And then the key package here is Pycharm. This is what allows you to manage different virtual environments for Pycharm for Jupyter notebooks. Okay, so I'm going to go back to CD desktop hack DNS. All right, so I'm back where my virtual environment is. And so to register this virtual environment with Jupyter notebooks, you run this Python -m ipykernel install. Okay, install, and that will actually add it to the Jupyter notebook kernel. So you can double check this by doing Python -m Jupyter kernel spec list. And you can see now I have the Pi 38 hacked in there. And so if I just run Jupyter Lab, it should launch my notebook session. Okay, so it launches my notebook session. And once it loads up, you'll see I have the option of creating new files associated with this virtual environment. So you can create that, and then you can also change the virtual environment for the kernel as well. Okay. All right. Since I'm over, that about sums up the tutorial. Are there any questions?